Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host Mike, and joining me on today's panel we've got Joe and Andy. We're going to be covering the historic League Cup victory, and we're going to then look forward to the bread and butter of Barrow away. As always, engagement is important. Please do the like, share, comment, retweets or repost now, etc. on all the social medias. Big shout out to everyone who does it for me on a regular basis. It's really, really helpful. Right, we're going to dive straight in. It is a very sunny evening in SM1, so the sun is bouncing a little bit off my head. But we're going to say hello to Joe. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hello, Mike. I'm very good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Nice stress-free summer, was it for you?
Yeah, nothing really. Oh yeah, there's just that little thing of exams, which plague the youth, which I love to represent on this podcast from time to time. But yeah, that's all done now, and it's nice. Got myself a job.
Oh, good.
Working at a kids camp, which is lovely. Just been there today. Very
excellent.
Very tiring, but like
yeah.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast with Mum.
Excellent. And Andy, 6 months it's been. How are you?
Has it?
Yeah.
God, yeah, last time was Newport, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. When I was doing it from a service station car park.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you been? How was your summer and Easter?
Very good.
I guess as well.
Very, very good. It kind of seemed to go quite quickly this year, which is a bit bizarre. Normally, a closed season, particularly without a football tournament in it, it goes really, really slowly. But this one just rushed by. So, I'm just glad to have our football back.
Absolutely. A bit more than our football back, but we'll come on to that in a moment. So a couple of bits of club news. The lady season tickets are on sale. They're £20. It's an early bird offer. I don't know how long that lasts for. It should be 11 home games, and I think it's a £5 for normal entry. So that's really good value. I do wish they just tagged it onto the normal season ticket, even as a paid extra. But I've got to faff around with 2 different QR codes. But that's fine. I'm guessing the club don't make decisions based around what Mike wants. But we'll get there one day. Also, best wishes to John Parsons. It was just on the forum earlier that he took a bit of a turn yesterday. Don't know exactly what happened. Not interested. Not being nosy, but he's in St Helier. So best wishes. And if anyone does have any queries on the supporters coaches, not on what's happened to John, there are details on the forum and on the Facebook page. But yeah, best wishes to John from everyone. And if you do need any information about the sports club and the coaches, it's on the forum and the Facebook group. But going to get down to business, and we're going to talk about Cambridge United, our third meeting, but only second real meeting. We'll start with you, Joe, the lineup. So when it sort of got announced, I think we had 4 changes from Saturday. What were you feeling at that point with seeing the new names?
I was happy. I expected Steve Arnold to go and goal because Matt had said in all of his interviews he seems to really like the keepers fighting out for that number 1 spot. He seems to find that really important, which is good for John. As he was last night, but it was good to see him on the team sheet. I liked O'Brien actually on Saturday. I thought he was. Even he only came on, but obviously his assist for Harry's 4th goal, which is weird to say 4th goal. I can't quite believe in saying that still. But Louis, good to see Louis back after Harrogate. I think was his last game or something ridiculous
I
like that. He had
think
a
so.
Horrid run
Yeah.
last season, just injury and then a bit more pre-season. So it was good to see Craig Clay because I expected him to start on Saturday actually. So you know, it was just good to see. I was just looking forward to it, to be honest, because I still hadn't quite got over Saturday. And then first cup game, you know, something to be excited about. And hopefully that Saturday wasn't a flash in the pan. So you know,
No, absolutely not. Yeah, Andy, Matt blew away your theory completely. Although you just need to pick the last 11 that Matt picked, and pretty much you're going to
Well,
be saying
yes and no. I mean, if you think about it, we've got Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. So we've got 5 games in pretty much 15 days. Matt has to rotate the squad, but I think this year we've got the squad to do it. It wasn't like yesterday was a weaker team; it was just a different team. So yeah, made perfect sense to me. I was a little surprised that he didn't play Eastman, but I think now he's got the luxury where he doesn't have to play Eastman in every single game because he's got you've got your Craig Clays, who is quite similar in style, really that real solid kind of rock midfielder. So it's not often he doesn't start with Craig Eastman, but I think he's really. I mean, again, I've said this many times in the forum. I think the recruitment this year has been absolutely stunning, and I think Tuesday was a real example of that because we've got options now, which we haven't had as a league side at all previously. Yeah.
I mean, big options. But you didn't even have Christian or Ryan Jackson.
Yep.
The 2 academy kids couldn't get on last night. I think they were just kind of on the bench for the whole experience thing, but they're sort of in and around the squad as well, which is excellent. But we kind of first half. Obviously, you never know what to expect. Cambridge were tipped for relegation by a lot of people, but then they played brilliantly apparently on Saturday. But we kind of held our own first half. I didn't think they were dominating us. I mean, the right back was he was quite a good, annoying little player. But how were you feeling in the first half before the
Are you
gift?
talking about the number 2?
Yeah.
What was his name? Liam Holland, I think it was. I thought he was the best player on the pitch. I thought he was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
It was one of those players where I was looking, going, "Wow, how's he done that? How? What?" So yeah, no, real quality. But I mean, you can tell they're a decent side, but we managed to hold our own against a decent side, and it was even when we scored that calamitous, or they scored that calamitous goal, which it looks even worse. It wasn't like Milton Keynes last year, where it's like, well, they score a goal, yeah, we're not going to get one back, we're out. It was like there's plenty more goals in this game. You just felt it.
Yeah. What were you thinking, Joe? Before the goal, when we were at the 0-0 stage.
Like, you hit the nail on the head, I think, earlier when you said they're just, like, everyone was saying, can we continue from Saturday? Because there was not enough pressure, but just a bit of a, what's going on. They're a very different team. Notts played a very high line on Saturday. Cambridge were happy, I think, to let the right back and left back, as you said, I think, especially the right back, dangerous and could cause problems, which we could deal with, which it was all good. But they sat a bit deeper, I felt, and we managed to, something I think compared to last season, two quite very different sides that we played this week, and we managed to deal with them both really well. And it shows that maybe we now have that versatility. That's something that I was a bit worried about. I was like, okay, I actually watched the highlights of the Oxford match that they played on Saturday. They're a very, very different team to Notts. They build up. They do prefer the long ball compared to Notts. Like to play it around midfield a bit more, play out to the wingers and to the goal brick. They do like the long ball. And when we played it, really, we started really well. And we held our own. You said it perfectly. I think we stayed. There was no belief that at any point, even after the goal went in, which was I don't quite know what happened. It was just it was like communication had just like stopped existing. There was no head down. There was a few. Oh, what was going on? Louis looked fuming. I think Tope's reaction on the sideline, I think, is one of the best reactions I think I've ever seen, because he's just, you can see it in the highlights. If you look at it, his hands on head going like that. It's brilliant. It's a top A reaction perfectly, but we didn't just put our heads down. I think we were better after the goal. We spurred on a little bit more, and then our reward came, and it was like, right, that's a moment of madness, but we're not going to let it define us. We're gonna go again, and we're going to show them why we're a new team and we're refreshed compared to last season, where I reckon we would have just, like you said, MK, we would have just said, right, fine, you pass the ball about, we'll play, and if you make a mistake, we'll do something with it, but not much else.
Yeah, I mean, the goal, there was differing opinions around me at fault. I've kind of tried to sit there and go, is there a fault? Is that just the two of them at fault? Are we sharing the blame? Or, I mean, Steve could quite clearly have come out and said, that's mine, and made it much, much clearer. Louis could also have, Lewis, I keep saying Louis, could also have looked up and went, he's coming for this. But are we happy to apportion joint blame for that? Or no? Okay,
No,
go on.
no.
Go on. Whose fault?
No, watching it again, it's Louis. Sorry.
It's Louis.
Oh, I disagree.
Okay.
I think it's Steve. I think if you're the keeper, you get surely you've got to be commanding. If you come out that far, you've got basically you're at a point where you're committed that far. I don't normally like to go. I like to stay on the fence. But I thought when I saw it initially, I was like, you're the keeper. You're that far outside your box. You've got to claim it and just say that's mine, because then there will be that situation.
I'd say you're right to a point, but then when you see Louis head it, he heads it past him. He sees him coming, and he heads it away from him. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's just like 50p head or something like that. But
ring rust.
Yeah.
Ring rust. But okay, well, we'll go with my initial. We'll apportion joint blame on that.
That's
or one of those things, I think Matt said. But Harry Smith, 2-2. He equalised for us. Now, Joe, I'll come to you first. What do you think on Harry? Because the reason is I want to pick up on something else that Andy said earlier on the forum. So, what do you think of Harry at the moment, Joe?
I went to the Aldershot game, and I'll be honest, I was a tad worried because he wasn't winning much, and he's 6'7", and I was a bit worried. Last two games, he has been exactly what we needed because he showed as much as he does the same role as Omar did last year. He dominates the game, and he also can pick a really good pass on him because I think he's got the flick down, but he's also got the take down, pass and distribute, and the finish as well, which is something that I think gives us a new option. I think the ruthlessness inside the box. I don't know how many shots he had on target yesterday, but there was a header in the second half. There was that goal in the first half. There was the header at the start. He had, I don't think, compared to last season, I'm going to keep comparing it because I still can't quite believe what's happening. But I think Omar, as much as Omar scored 6 goals, they weren't a lot from just taking your chance. And I think if there's a chance for Harry, he will take it, and he will often get it on target, which is a lot better than just playing another pass and then they get him out in the way and then we go again. So I really like him, and he seems like obviously what happened on Saturday after the red card. He seems like the kind of guy that we need at the front. Yeah, I know you like that for your moment of the day.
Yeah, I know there's people that didn't like it as well. Andy, that's pretty similar to some of the things you were saying, and kind of to defend your position a bit of. I know the last sort of 6 months of Omar, perhaps there's question marks, but there was 3.5 years, I think it was, prior to that.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on sort of the change / upgrade?
It's an upgrade in every department. I think he's better on the ball. He's got a bigger physical presence. It doesn't, with Omar, when he gets challenged in the box, it's kind of like he'll just kind of fall over. With Harry, it's kind of like, well, yeah, come on in, have a go. I ain't going anywhere. He's not one of these. He doesn't seem to me as one of these players that will just fall over to try and get a set piece or a free kick. He's like, no, I want to battle for this. I think that suits our style of play a bit more, because actually looking on the counter attack, we're looking quite dangerous. So that's what we need. So yeah, no, I think it's an upgrade in absolutely every department.
Beautiful. So again, differing opinions on the penalty, but they got a penalty. They scored the penalty. I sort of said, I think maybe Jack's just planning ahead to practice for penalties. He'll save this, and then he went the wrong way entirely. So I was like, oh, great. But we then got a penalty. Were you surprised that Harry took it over Rob? Quick explanation here. The recording stopped not once, but 2 times whilst Andy was explaining about his thoughts with Harry or Rob taking penalties. And he obviously said that they kind of divide it up between them and make a decision. And obviously Harry was captain, so he got the final say on that one. So back to recording. Sorry, there's a little bit that was skipped, but back to recording. So at that point, obviously, we had Harry taking a penalty. And you were just mentioning you weren't surprised because it wasn't a situation like the angle at Bradford.
Yeah.
But were you surprised that maybe Aidan didn't take it? Because he definitely came and picked up the ball with every intention to, it looked like.
No, again, I think Matt's always been very clear about who takes penalties. And I think it's always been Milsom or Beautyman, and I think he's going to stick with that. So, yeah. I mean, Aidan probably would like to have taken it, but he doesn't make the rules. So
no, absolutely. On Aidan, what did you think of his performance last night? I mean, obviously there's going to be a bit of rust with actually he had a pre-season, and I think their fans were a bit surprised he was let go. But how did you think he settled in?
Yeah, I think he settled in fine. There's no issue at all. Good work rate. You could tell he hasn't played much football, and he, out of all the players that were out there, he was the one that was most knackered. But no, apart from that, no issues.
Yeah, gives again nice problems for Matt to have.
Yes.
And then Scott came on, and he's a little bit quick, isn't he?
The funny thing is, I saw him in friendlies, and he wasn't quick at all.
No.
It's like somebody's flicked an on switch. It's like, whew, he's off.
That does seem to be the case with all of them, because there were a couple of people that weren't overly impressed with Coley. I didn't think Harry Smith was that great in the friendlies. I was like, oh God, he's not as physical as he could be. And as you said, Scott as well didn't really massively impress. But that's probably why we pay to watch football, and other people get paid to make these decisions.
Friendlies tell you nothing. If you signed a player and they're already signed and they're not doing great guns in friendlies, they're just trying to watch themselves and just get themselves match fit, get themselves a bit used to playing ball a bit again after a couple of months off, and then kick on when the season starts. Friendlies tell you, as a spectator, nothing about the season ahead, and they shouldn't do.
No. And also, a lot of the players that we signed are a little bit older, so they know themselves, they know their bodies a bit more, so they're not going to put themselves under undue pressure.
Yeah.
So just to explain, we may have lost Joe because I had to switch platforms and he's not signed on yet. So we will carry on without him. So the penalty shootout. Obviously, we got to penalties. Jack made an interesting comment that the way football is now, you see the 88th minute and you're thinking, oh, we're close to the end, and then, oh no, we're not. We still got another 10 minutes to go. But yeah, we made it to the penalty shootout. Were you confident going into the penalty shootouts based on the fact that we've never lost the penalty shootout in the EFL?
No, I wasn't confident at all. and the reason why was because at that point, that's when the real kind of misty rain was coming. So it just any sort of idea just threw caution to the wind, because players can slip, players can, the ball doesn't behave in the same way as it would do if it was dry, and the goalkeeper can't see as well as they can do. And actually, I think that was probably part of the reason why we went past 5 penalties, is that actually it was for a goalkeeper, he wouldn't have been able to see that as well as he could have done. So no, I wasn't at all, but I was very pleased at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the only one I filmed was the save, the last one at the end where it was saved. It's literally the only one. I don't know why I was so confident, but there you go, I was.
Hey,
here's Joe. So were you confident going into the penalty shootout, Joe?
Was I confident? Yes, I was. Very confident. I was a tad nervous because I didn't see that we had. I had thought we had got a lot of penalty takers. I was a bit worried that we would end up having to go back to what we did at Wigan, which made my heart rate increase significantly. And we went to Dino, Lewis, and Ben, which we did go to Ben.
Dino was one of the. He wanted to be one of the 5. So Dino wasn't wasn't so bad.
I know it wasn't, but like I was still
No.
nervous.
He was one of the 5.
Was he fifth?
Yeah,
He might
no,
have been
Dean,
fifth.
Dean
He
was,
might have been. It just
Yeah.
it's just unorthodox, but that's how we like to do things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt good. I thought that we looked confident, assured. I thought we'd been the better team. I'll be honest. I think we had that our 2 goals they weren't from open play of it, or I'm not counting the first one as open play really because it wasn't a goal. I forget about it. And the second one was obviously paired. So I think we were in a good position, and I think the players we had on the pitch were good. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know who thought of this brilliant stat. It was me. The last 4 goals we've scored have been scored by a player called Harry. Just saying, it's got to be a first. So
Wow.
lots of good things. We're into the next round. Obviously, I did this brilliantly. We're filming tonight, and the draw is going to be in a couple of hours. I probably should have delayed this till tomorrow, but we're into the second round for the first time in our history. So that's really, really positive. But we're going to kind of wrap up on the game a little bit, and there are a couple other little bits. So Andy, can I ask you for what was your moment of the match? I will get a sound clip for this. I don't know how or why, but I will get a sound clip for it. But what was your moment?
It has to be them missing a penalty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it can be anything else.
It wasn't missed, it was saved. Joe, what was your moment of the match?
That was one of them. So because that was a wonderful moment. But I am going to be. What am I going to go for? It won't win, but it was funny to me, and I'm hoping that the Tope Fadahunzi kind of fan crew will come through here. His reaction after the first goal. If you have 30 seconds of your time, watch the highlights, and the pan just slow. The camera slowly pans, and it's just him stood there, eyes as wide as I think I've ever seen, hand on his head, and it's a brilliant picture, and it will get screenshotted, and it will be, for example, Sutton in first, 10 points clear, hopefully, and it will just be that picture. So that's my moment of the match because I think I was one of the only people that saw it, but it made my evening.
Okay, well, mine is going to be slightly different. It's more of a lack of a moment of a match because for a long time when we were watching football, especially at Sutton, we have got into the habit of when anything goes anywhere near the keeper, we're like, that counts as a shot on target. And I don't think I heard anyone say that last night, which just proves that we are doing well. So mine is the lack of a moment of a match of no one saying that counts as a shot on target, or no one within my earshot anyway.
We had 16 goal attempts last night, 9 on target.
It's mad, isn't it? Had a couple of questions sent in. 2 I'm going to go with. Lots about the penalty saves. Jack being maybe a teensy-weensy bit ahead of his line. What do we think of that? Do we care? No. I mean, Andy, you're on the same side as I am. The linesman didn't pick up, or the assistant referee didn't pick up an awful lot. In fact, there was one brilliant moment where Ben kicked the ball about 3 times and it went out, and he didn't know which way to give the throw on. Asked the ref who gave it to us, and it's like, how you're standing there? How can you not see that we kicked that off? So yeah, okay. And a bit early for this question, but this team, how different does it feel from watching last year? Whether we won or lost last night, I personally felt there's the hope and the expectation we're going to, like you just said, we had lots of shots and we weren't scratching around for chances. How different does it feel watching this team?
You go first. Oh, thank you, Joe. I'm no longer biting my fingernails all game, which is a telling sign. Because often after football matches, my parents come home and say, "Oh, you've been biting your fingernails again." So I'm smiling while watching, which is a telling sign for me because there were points at last season where you're just a bit on edge, and you're not. You're just willing them, just shoot, just do something. Come on, let's be resilient. Let's just get 11, do an 11-0 formation for the last 5 minutes because I don't know if we're going to concede. And there was no worry of that. It was we could win this, not will we lose this. And that is just a telling sign for me because I'm just loving watching it, and I can't the next game. I was towards the end of last season. I got tickets for Colchester away, and I went to see the Leyton Orient and the Northampton home matches, and I was like, slightly regretting this now. And we all know how Colchester away went. So yeah, I can't wait. I'm not making the trip up to Barrow, but I can't wait for Gillingham next week.
Excellent. Andy?
To me, this feels like how it would have felt if we were allowed into games when we beat Maidenhead at the start of our championship year. It feels right. It feels like the balance is right. The team is playing as a team again, which I think was missing quite a bit last year. They're looking out for each other already, and the players, again, stunning signings, absolutely stunning signings. I mean, Amari Patrick. I mean, how did we even get him? I've got no idea, but it just feels great at the moment, which leads me nicely onto saying how confident we are that for once we may go up to Barrow and not lose. And I think that segues nicely.
It does segue. I have a whole list of things I could have jumped into this segue after talking about that counts as a shot on target, because I think the last time we were up at Barrow, neither team had a shot on target. But I did like, there was a tweet, I think I retweeted it earlier. Someone was doing it as a preview, and they described Sutton as scoring Sutton United. And I'm like, I'm sorry, let me read that again. 3 scoring Sutton United.
I've got a best stat. I can beat your Harry stat. Between after the Crawley game last year and the Carlisle game, we've scored more goals in the last 4 days than we did between the March the 8th and May the 8th.
Beautiful. I'd worked out, I think it was 7 games before we scored 7 goals last year. So that's just
sounds right.
amazing. But we are joined by a very, very patient Andrew, who I was told, so it would only be about 20 minutes, and then we've been different platforms, we've been waffling. Andrew, hello, how are you?
Oh yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yourself? Yes,
very well, very well. Are you looking forward to the clash between 2 unbeaten sides riding high at the top of the division?
Yeah, I'm actually, because it's going to be the first time I've managed to get to the game in a while. I didn't manage to get to any of the pre-season friendlies to watch it firsthand, so I'm looking forward to actually seeing the game of football for the first time in a couple of months. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Well, I've got some questions for you, just to kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. So how long have you been supporting Barrow, and what kind of got you started?
Well, since I was a little kid, really. My dad's been a fan for as long as, he can remember anyway. So, I've been going probably for about 30 years, I'd say, give or take. And then by which point I figured out they weren't very good. It was a bit too late to stop going, so I just carried on.
Oh, me and Andy are different. We both turned up and went, this is rubbish, we love this. So is there any kind of match days traditions or superstitions that you have? I mean, there's someone on this call that has to go in through the same gate and stand in the same spot and don't know who it is.
I always stand in the same spot. Got to stand in the same spot. So I can completely agree with that one. Other than that, not a great deal, because it's changed sort of last few years, because I work more Saturdays, so most of my Saturdays have got a bit of a routine anyway, so I don't really have time I don't really have chance to fall into any superstitions as such. But I remember when I was a kid, I would refuse to play on Championship Manager the day before a game, because I was convinced if I won on that, then we'd lose in real life. So that's kind of stuck with me now, but
yeah,
that's probably the only one I can think of which is a little bit weird.
They're not weird at all. I mean, I've stood in a virtually empty stadium watching one of the ladies' games where there's less than 100 people there, and I've stood in the main stand and we were struggling, we were losing. I've walked around to my normal spot and suddenly we scored 2 goals, and I'm like, this proves my point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you have an all-time favourite memory from supporting Barrow?
There's the couple that spring to mind. one of the weird ones was winning promotion in the COVID year in 2020, because just being top of the league for that long, and then for the season to stop, it just felt very Barrow if it didn't happen. Because I think it had been 48 years that we'd been out of the league, and we got voted out of it after it went to a revote. So we didn't even get relegated properly. And then we were going to get promoted, and then the season stopped. And I thought, oh, we're not even going to get promoted properly at this rate. So that was a weird one. But I think best memory is probably winning the FA Trophy at Wembley in 2010 for me, when we beat Stevenage, who were like massive favourites. I think they got promoted that year, and they were going for the double. And they went 1-0 up through, I think it was Andy Drury. It was an absolutely brilliant goal, because it was just right in line with us where we were sat. And I thought, oh, here we go. And we managed to get an equaliser through Lee McEverley near the end of the game. And then in extra time, Jason Walker, who was from Barrow, scored an absolute fantastic goal to win it in extra time. And I don't think there's many things that top senior team win at Wembley in any cup competition. So yeah, certainly that.
Yeah, Joe, I don't know if you know, teams, they used to be not automatic up and down from the Football League. Yeah, you used to have to take a vote on it, and usually clubs were very clever and not voted the teams out unless the team coming up was absolutely massive. So I
think a lot of people just didn't like coming to Barrow, which was pretty fair considering the distance.
Is there any players any player from your history that you would love to just pick up and put into the Barrow team now?
I think now we could do with an out-and-out goal scorer. So I'd probably have to say, maybe not for my lifetime, it's a little bit before my time, but we had a striker called Colin Cowperthwaite, and he's the club's all-time top goal scorer. And he just, to look at him, you wouldn't think he was like a fantastic footballer, but he just knew where the goal was. He was just a phenomenal goal scorer. I think at one point he held the world record for the fastest goal in a football match. I think he scored against, I think it was Kettering or Kidderminster, one of them two. In like inside 2 seconds, he just shot straight from kickoff. But so like someone that will stick the ball in the back of the net with like regularity is especially after selling Gordon in the summer. We need a goal scorer, so he'd probably be absolutely ideal.
Okay, so this is going to be an odd question for you, but how does Sutton win this game? What needs to happen for us to beat you guys?
Well, I think the last couple of games we have conceded a lot of possession. So I think with the goal scoring run reform you're in at the moment, I think if you manage to create chances, if you can be as clinical as you have been, then that's a very good route, because we have allowed quite a lot of shots on our goal last couple of games. But especially against Tranmere, they seem to be from places that we let them shoot from, if that makes sense. So like from outside the area mostly, where we're pretty comfortable with them. But if you can take any chances that do come your way, it's a bit of a cliche, but it is quite simple. It's like if we're as good as restricting teams to proper chances as we have been the last couple of games. If you can like take any half chances that fall your way, I think that might stand you in good stead, because like I said before, we're kind of missing an out-and-out goal scorer at the moment. So I think at the moment we are going to win matches if we win them at all, by a single goal here and there, maybe. So yeah, I think that's probably your best chance, just being as clinical and as dangerous as you have been. And I think it'll be up to us to try and stop you, basically.
Okay, it sounds like that could be a really interesting game. If your team are happy out of possession and we're happy out of possession, what's going to happen? Are we just going to go, no, you have it, no, you have it, you have it?
I think like the one thing I've noticed is like the 2 games this season have obviously both been away from home, and so I think probably we've got a little bit more of an onus on us on Saturday to actually come out and attack, because I think the home fans will want that a bit more. They're probably quite like we're quite happy to see us sort of just be organised and difficult to break down away to like Tranmere and obviously like Bolton in the League Cup. But when it comes to home games against teams we're probably expecting to be around us in the league, that's when I think there's going to be more pressure on us to come out and actually play football, if you will. So maybe we'll see a different balance to what we saw against Tranmere, and we ask a few more questions of you than we may have been doing against the teams in the last couple of games.
So what do you think, Joe? What do you think needs to happen for us to win?
I've only seen Barrow play once last season at home, and I remember it was the first time I took one mate to. It was his actually first football match, and I don't know why I took him to Sutton first. And
I think to Barrow.
I know. I think the goal summed it up. I think it was a goal kick, and it bounced over your keeper, and it just went. It was the tip of most. I think if you could say sum up League Two in a goal at points, that would be it. And I think continue in the same vein, be bold, keep this. I'd love to see Cashgate and Smith again because I think they're a great pairing. Cashgate running around like just being an annoyance to your back line. Because I don't know much about your back line, but I think Cashgate and the way Smith can just use his physicality, I'd love to see just that keep going. And then if we just keep the kind of compactness and the way the two wingers are linking up, as much as I think that you guys will cause problems for us, because obviously I think Notts obviously was a bit of an outlier. I think they performed particularly poorly, and I don't think they're going to be the performance all season, obviously. I think the main thing we need to do is just be aggressive, because I think that's what we're really good at, and be physical, just try and play our game, because that's what happens, and hope that that works for us, and see what happens from there.
Okay, Andy, what do you reckon? I mean, I looked at the previous games between us, and there was one massive 2-2 draw, but other than that, it's been 0-0s or 0-1 or 1-0 all the way through.
Well, I've been to Barrow probably about 5 times now, and I'm going on Saturday. So it's even though it's a hell of a trek. I always quite enjoy going, to be honest. I find Barrow quite pleasant, so it's not too bad. But also, I know that there'll only be about 60 of us there. There's not going to be that much more, and that does make a difference. I remember in the season when Barrow won the title, and we went up there in October, I think it was, and we lost 1-0, and it was a Jamie Butler goalkeeper mistake. It wasn't. It was the season before, it was. The Barrow supporters basically said that even at that point, we were the best team that they'd seen there, and we were on a really bad run. So I think it's kind of like one of these kind of hoodoos that we need to get rid of. I'll be very happy with the draw. I'll be over the moon with a win, but I don't think for 1 minute we'll get one. Barrow manager he's a canny operator. He's a very good manager. And you get some people saying, "Oh yeah, Barrow are going to be relegation favourites." No, they're not. Barrow are going to be top half easily, and could potentially be a bit of a dark horse for a playoff, I think. So to go up there and get a point will be great. I think we are in a much better position squad-wise than we've probably ever been to go up there and get something. And I was about to say, when the fixture came out, August, great. Finally don't have to go to Barrow in the middle of winter. And of course, it's going to chuck it down there on Saturday as well. So, the normal Barrow experience, ticked off. But I think it's going to be, the players are going to be full of confidence. They would have been full of confidence from Saturday. They're going to be full of even more confidence after Tuesday. They're going to go up there and they're going to go for it. I think it's got the makings of a very exciting game. You've got us full of confidence against a really decent side. It'll either be a fantastic end-to-end game, or they'll just cancel each other out. So hopefully it's the former. And if it is, whatever the result, I'll be happy.
Two managers should just get together and go, look, I'll tell you what, score 5 goals in the first 5 minutes. We'll score 5 goals in the next 5 minutes. We'll get on first on TV and we'll just make this an absolute ripper of a game. So I'm going to start with you, Andrew, on this one. If you could, I've made up this entire little scheme that you can get into that changing room for 30 seconds before kickoff. What's the message to the players as they're about to come out?
I'd just tell them to be positive, to try and get on the front foot, because I think if we can get momentum, then that is once the fans get behind you at Hawke Street. I mean, you said yourself, no, it can be sometimes it can be quite an intimidating place, but they need to get the fans whipped up first. Sometimes it seems to be a very much fans will wait and see and then sort of react accordingly. So if the players can go out there and get on the front foot and build up a head of steam and then sort of get the fans behind them, then I think we're a difficult team to beat at home if we can get that going for us. But other than that, I think we've got to just make sure that we keep. I think I was looking at your side before, and it's like Amari Patrick caused us no end of problems last season when he played against us for Carlisle. So keep an eye on him. It's like Neil Warnock. That famous clip where it's like, go out there, enjoy yourselves, but do it by being disciplined, like you're not wanting to swear. So I think that's very much the thing. If we can go out there and we can build up some momentum early doors, get off to a strong start, I think that's what we need to do.
Andy, what would you say to the Sutton players?
No fear, go out there, free hit away. Yeah, just go out there and just do what you can. You shouldn't be after with the start of the season that we've had, you should be afraid of no one. So don't go out there and be afraid. Go out there and play your game.
Excellent. Joe, what would you say?
Andy said something very similar to what I was going to say. So I'm going to change it and say let's go for a different tactic. The supporters and fans have travelled 310 miles today. Let us put 310 past this Barrow team. Just be aggressive, and we've got somehow. I was going to say this. We always play Gillingham at home and Wimbledon at home in a row together, and we're playing them next. Now we've got 2 home games coming up. Let's get into a difficult next 3 fixtures on a high at a place where we have struggled in the past, but I know the ability of this squad is something which we haven't had, and the depth of this squad is something we haven't had before.
Excellent, lovely. Right, I haven't really massively thought about predictions on this one. I'm going to go with the 2-2 exciting draw, only because I think the last 6 games has been 2 wins for Barrow, 2 wins for Sutton, and 2 draws. So I'm just going to go with a draw. Andrew, what would you say is a prediction for the score?
Like you said, it's always seems to be a goal either side. I think it's going to be another close game. Hopefully, like you say, it's going to be a good game where two sides wanting to get each other. I'm not normally positive, but I suppose I've got to make an effort for the first game, the home game of the season. So I'm going to say 2-1 Barrow. 2-1
Barrow, lovely. Joe, what are you saying?
3-1 Sutton.
3-1 Sutton, okay. Blimey. Andy?
I'm matching you. I think 2-2.
2-2?
Yeah.
Excellent. I do think, I do wonder, will there be a bit of a conversation in the Barrow camp about the goal that Brad House most definitely did not touch at our place? With the ball looped over, and he definitely did not touch that ball.
He didn't. I line with the goal. I can swear it was no touch.
There was just changed direction on its own, I suppose.
There was a whole crowd of people kind of standing around going, does anyone know why that was disallowed? I mean, we're taking it, but does anyone know? And it took about a couple of hours for someone to go, yeah, it was an indirect free kick, and the ref thinks it didn't hit touch him. We're like, only thing I can say on the ref's behalf on that is obviously the ref's looking at it face on, and when Brad's jumped and his kind of hand is behind him, it would be difficult to see exactly what had happened for the ref, not for the linesman, but we all know linesmen are.
But didn't Matt remind him? Because I think he did because
Yeah,
I think
he did.
the goal was
Oh, did he?
scored, but Matt reminded the referee that it was indirect. The thing was, the reason why I thought it was that because I said it and I was like, surely that because it didn't. I'm 95% sure it didn't touch Brad because his reaction was almost like, oh my gosh, like how have I missed that? He didn't even lift his head or anything. It was like ridiculous. It was a poor miss. But then the fact that Matt reminded the referee just made it even more slightly farcical.
Wow, that's even better. Well, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time and patience, gents. I don't know what happened earlier, but thank you very, very much. We're going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. Appreciate your attention. It definitely works. I'm telling you. Don't roll your eyes, Joe. That's outrageous. You can't roll your eyes. We do it on video now. Obviously, always appreciate your feedback and everything except for the eye rolling that Joe just did there. Follow, like, and share at Sutton Podcast on social medias. Don't forget to subscribe and review on your preferred platform. Apparently, YouTube seems to be a lot more popular than I expected it to be. I'll be honest, it's a lot more views on YouTube than I expected. So thank you everyone on YouTube, and I'm going to wave to you as well. Hi. Next time, we are going to be joined by Johnny and Dan. So they are making the trip. So I believe of the trip, you mentioned the low numbers. There was 13 a few years back, Andy. And I think I've had virtually every single one of those 13 on the show at some point.
That was that midweek one. That was the time that it was the match was postponed, and I'd got as far as Wigan.
Yeah. Thanks to the sponsors, Lucky Star Gin. Thanks to you guys for giving your opinions and for bearing with me. And thanks to the listeners too. We'll catch you next time and take care. Bye-bye.
United!